Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 12. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to go up to help, and we're going to go to documentation home. Now that we're in the documentation, scroll down until you see animating characters and objects. Click on this, and in here you'll see skeletal mesh animation, sequencer, control rig, and paper 2D. Paper 2D is just basically anything about 2D games and 2D animations. Control rig, if you go in here, it explains to you how to set up your character with control rig, which is basically creating your own animations and your own IK rigs for your characters, spline rigging, which is good for your metahuman if you want to fix the head issues, if you are encountering those type of situations. But this is what you'll use to fix that. And it's a good thing to learn, basically, put it like that. And we go back to our sequencer. This is kind of like editing your own movie or editing your own cutscenes and stuff for your game. So it's like editing a movie, creating cinematics, adding animations to the scene, adding animations to your character, adding music and sounds and all that good stuff. So it's just like your traditional I won't say traditional. It's the same as being an editor, right? But it's a game editor for games pretty much. So this will teach you everything about cameras and how to do rendering and workflows and cheat sheets and cinematic samples and all that good stuff. So this is where you will learn everything about your sequencer stuff. And we're going to get around to this eventually in this series. So make sure you check this out. But where we want to go right now is our skeletal mesh animation system. And here, it explains to you how to use your editor for your animations and your blueprints and assets and features. And if you scroll down some more, this is live link. This is basically what you use to set up your character for mocap. So you may see stuff on here about how to set up your face rig for your metahuman and how to set up the mocap for your metahuman using live link. So this is what you need for that. And debugging and optimization for your animations. This is where you want to go. So if you have issues where your character is, bugging out or is running and in a continuous run cycle or stuff, something like that, you can come here and figure it out using this. And then you have your workflow guides. And you have your animation shortcuts and tips. So I want you to come here and read this stuff so you'll have an understanding of how everything works. And I will try to explain most of the things that we see here in this series, but I do want you to read and understand so you have a fundamental understanding of things. So if you ever get lost, you can always come here and say, okay, I didn't quite understand that. I can come here and research it myself, or I can go and ask him on Discord, or you can ask me on YouTube, or you can ask other people on the forums over here. So don't be afraid to do so. Now back in our editor, we want to go to our all, and then we want to go to our C++ classes, and then our Metahuman RPG folder, then our game framework folder. In here, we want to create a new class, and we want to go to all classes and type in anim, A-N-I-M. And we want to scroll down. And select anim instance, which will be at the top of the hierarchy, and press next. And we're going to name it meta anim instance. Okay. Then we're going to create class. Once your Visual Studios is done loading, this is the screen you will see. Click Reload All. Now, you need to switch back over to your editor. And once you're over here on your editor, you'll see this screen and press No. And it'll take you back here. And you need to remove this game work folder. And it should look like this. Now, once you're done with this, you can compile. So go to Build and Build Solution. Okay, now that we're back in our editor, what I want you to do is go back up to the top and go to All and select Content folder and your Metahuman RPG folder. And in your characters folder, I want you to make a new folder called Animations. And in this folder, I want you to create an animation blueprint. And the skeleton that we want to select, we're going to type in SK_man. And the skeleton that we want is the SKM Quinn symbol, which would be, well, look at your preview skeletal mesh and you'll see that it'll say game characters, mannequins, meshes, SKM Quinn. This is the one that we want to select. And for the parent class, we want the meta anim instance and create. And we're going to name this one Meta Warrior _ ABP, standing for a animation blueprint. We're going to open this up. And this is what it's going to look like. So what I want you to do for right now is I want you to close this one. And we're going to make another one called Meta Mage. Well, actually, what we can do is we can duplicate this one and call it Meta Mage _ABP. So the next thing I want you to do is I want you to go to your All again. Go to your Content folder. Find your Metahuman folder. And for me, I have Emmanuel and Jen. So what I want you to do in your Emmanuel folder, or whatever folder your character name is, go into your character, go to the male or female folder, and click in here until you find this body. And what I want you to do is right click it, go all the way to skeleton, then click on Assign Skeleton. And we're going to go SK Man, and we're going to select this one. Make sure it says in the preview skeletal mesh, game characters mannequin, meshes, SKM Quinn. But you can also tell down here by clicking on this one. And you can see that it's missing and stuff, but this one is for our infinite blade adversaries. And this one is for our, it's also for the infinite blade. But we want this one. And we want to accept. And you go, okay. And then we want to go back all the way to the Metahuman folder. We can click right here. Then we click on the next Metahuman, whichever name you named it. For me, I have a female character. And you go on the female character folder and the body type, which is medium. And you will right click on this. Click on assign a skeleton. SK man. Click the first one that says SKM Quinn on the preview mesh and accept. Now what I want you to do is go to your all folder, go to your content folder, go to your Metahuman RPG folder, go to your assets folder, and in your locomotion folder. Then I want you to right click on idle and select retarget animation. And it's loading right now. You see the little loading bar right here. Okay. Now what I want you to do is scroll all the way up to the top. Left click on the top animation and then go all the way down to the bottom. Then shift left click. Now go to your target skeletal mesh and we're going to type in, let's type in Manny. There we go. Manny. I'm going to right click that and export all animations. And go to your Metahuman RPG folder. In your assets folder, let's create a new folder. Just right click on your assets folder and we'll name it Manny for our mannequin. And we will export all of our animations here. Okay. Now what we want to do is we want to go back to our Metahuman folder and go to our character, our animation, and open up our Meta Warrior APB. And you can just grab this little thing right here and drag it up so it'll be right next to your untitled. And now we have all our animations that we imported for our metahumans. So what we want to do now is we're gonna go over here and then we're gonna go to our all folder and then we're gonna type in ABP and open up the ABP menu. Now, in here, this shows you how everything is set up. And the way this is set up in the blueprint is pretty much like this. With this right here, you're initializing your animation, and you get your owning character or owning actor, and you cast it to your character, which would be your APB Manny, or in our case, our Metahuman. And from here, you would drag off from this as a character and promote to a variable. And you see it says as a character, and then you have character. And then you will drag off from here and ask for the character movement. And then you'll drag off from the character movement and set it to character movement. And then drag it back to here. But this is giving you a reference for your character, because you're going to ask for your character's character movement in the next one. And from here, you're updating your animation. And the way you get this right here, this is called a is valid node. But you can also get it is valid here, which is the old way to do it. You don't want the function. It should have the question mark. Is valid is the one you want with the question mark on it. This is a function. You don't want the function. You want the one with the question mark. This is the old way you would do this. But the new way to do it is to grab your reference. Let me delete this. Grab your reference for your character. And you get the character. And then you right click the character and convert it to valid get. And this is how you get your validation for your character. Now the sequence is pretty much the order of how things would be done. So you will go, the first sequence would be 0, and you go set velocity and ground speed from the movement components velocity. Ground speed is calculated from only the X and Y axis for the velocity. Moving up or down does not affect it. The up and down, as you can see on here, for your axis is up and down is Z. The X and Y would be left to right movements. Pretty much this kind of movement, not this. So what you're doing here is you're setting your velocity, or rather you're getting your movement component. You really start from your movement component, but you get your movement component from here, right? You get your movement component, you get your velocity, and then you set your velocity, then you get your vector length x, y, and then you get your ground speed, right? So in the next node, the next sequence will be your second one, right? So here you're setting your movement, or calculating your movement speed. So set should move to true only if ground speed is above a small threshold, which is basically meaning if it's above 3, it'll calculate that the speed is moving, right? If it's below 3, it's not moving, so it'll be set to 0. To prevent incredible small velocities from triggering animation, and if there is currently acceleration input applied. So basically what you're doing is saying, I'm getting my movement, I'm getting the current acceleration. So you create this, and it's saying that you have 0 velocity on your X, Y, and Z. So it's not equal. And this is a not equal Boolean, by the way. And the way you get a not equal Boolean is you drag off and you go this equals, right? So it says not equal, all right? You'll drag off from there and you'll create that boolean. And you'll drag and say, and should move. Right? So what you're saying is the ground speed is greater than 3, so I am moving and it should move. If my ground speed is 0, it should not move. Right? So that's what you're getting right there. The next line, which is 3, which then 2 is 3, set is falling from the movement component's falling state. So you're basically asking if your movement is falling, set to falling. Right? So if you're jumping, you're falling instead of running. Right? So that's all you're checking right here. Now to open up your NIM graph, which is what we're going to do next, open up this. And as you can see how it's set up, you have your local motion. And this is how you set up your idle, which is what we see right here. And then you're asking the ground speed, and you're setting up your BS, which is what we're going to do once we set up everything else. But you're asking for a blend space. You're asking for your ground speed. So basically, you're asking for your ground speed. You're creating a blend space for your character that's going from your idle state to your run state. So you idle, walk, run. Right? And that's your blend space for that. So you're going from your idle to your walk and run state. So basically what this is, this will be called your cache. And what you do with your cache is you'll take your cache and drag it down here and connect it to this. Right? Connect it to this right here. But in your main state, we're setting up our local motion, right? So this is our cache state right here inside our main state. So as you see, we have our locomotion here, and we created a cache state right here. And then we created another state machine. And from this state machine, we're creating a locomotion. And we put our cache state in here, which is our idle to run state. And from our idle to run state, we're on the land, right? So we're landing on the ground to land, right? So use cache, locomotion. And this is apply an additive, and we're going to mLand, which is this animation, which is pretty much falling to the ground. And you add it as an additive with an alpha of 1, and this will be your base, which is your locomotion idle state or run state. And then you go to the land, right? And then up here is you're putting your jump states, right? Just your jump state. You're jumping in the air, all right? Let me go back. So your falling states. So what these things right here are, you're setting your is falling to here, right? And then from here, there's nothing in here because you don't need it because you're just, okay. You're creating an automatic rule from here because from your fall loop is going into a jump loop, right? So it's an automatic to your jump. Now in your jump state, going from here, you see your velocity, which is your z velocity. So you're jumping in air with 100 float. Like if it's greater than 100, pretty much, and is equal to, right, is falling. So if it's greater than 100, you're in the air. If it's not, you're falling, right? So that's why it's called is falling. If you're greater than 100, you're not falling, you're in the air. And if it's lower than dead, then you're falling. Pretty much. Um, dang, I didn't mean to do that. Open up your APB. So we want to go back to our nemograph. And what this is a default slot. And what a default slot pretty much does is it sets a group for your movements pretty much. So like if you have a certain area of the body that you want to move and set your default slot to, then this was what you will use. But if you want the whole entire body, you go default slot, right? So if we go inside of our control rig, you'll see a whole lot of code in here, right? So this is what keeps the body for the Metahuman pretty much together. So this is what a control rig looks like. It's a lot of of code in here. Um, but for our Metahuman, we would want to change the root from pelvis to our animation root. So we're going to copy this code to our Metahuman APB, right? Or ABP. So we're going to go back. And we're going to copy this right here. Oh, we don't need the mana states. Uh-huh. And we'll just Control V. And bam, there we go. And what we want to do next is we want to update our sequence node. So right click it and update. And then we want to go down here and set our animation roots right here on our full IK. So step 5, go here, go to root and set it to animation roots and compile. And we want to go back and we can pull this down right here and we can do that. So now what I want you to do is compile your blueprint and you'll get something like this. And with these warnings, all we're going to do is create variables like this by right clicking on the warning sign and it'll create a variable for you. So the way we fix this issue right here is we click on the warning right here and we right click it and create a variable is falling. But you can use your compiler results to find all the other issues that's where you have that issue. And you want to go to our jump fall loop. Go down to the compiler results and it'll give you all the information about what the error is. And it'll also give you a link to the error. And you can click on it and it will take you to that page. And the error is our loop settings in our animation. So we're going to turn it off and we're going to compile. And we'll go to our next one. Could not find a variable named velocity. And we're going to create our variable. We're going to go here. And we're going to create our variable again. Click on the warning, right click it, and compile. And I'm going to do it again. Right click, create variable, compile, and let's fix all our errors. Now I want you to go back to your all folder and go to your content folder. And I want you to type in ABP. I want you to open up your ABP Manny. And I want you to open up your ABP Meta Warrior. Now, go to your ABP Money and go to your event graph. You can also go to it over here. And what I want you to do is I want you to copy everything from here. And you can press Control C. And then we're going to go back to our Meta Warrior ABP. And we're going to press Control V, which paste. And we're going to drag it down. And Control C this. And Control V. And just drag this over like that. And we go bam. And all we do is we right click this, create variable, and compile. Right click this, control variable, and compile. And I think we're good. So search all. And then the next thing we want to do is go to our content folder, our Metahuman RPG folder, our character folder. We want to open up our Meta Warrior BP. Now in our Meta Warrior BP, we want to go to our viewport. And in our viewport, we want to find our face. Well, actually, this is what I want you to do first. Go to your mesh. And in your mesh, go to your animation in an class. And we're going to open up our we're going to go to our Meta Warrior ABP. As you can see, our head is kind of detached from our body. And the way that we fix this is we click on our face. And in the animation, and in an M class, we pick our ABP, our face and MBP. And that fixes that. And we can compile. And we want to do, okay. Then we close this out. And we close this out, and we close this out, and we close this out. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our animation folder. We're going to delete the mage for it. And then we're going to duplicate again. And we're going to call it Meta Mage underscore ABP. And then what we're going to do is go back to our characters folder. Now open up our MetaMage BP. And in our viewport, click on the mesh. Set the name class to MetaMage ABP. We'll have the same issue with the head. Now go down to your face. And in animation. And in M class, click on face A and MBP, and that'll fix the issue there. And we compile. And what we're going to do is we're going to test it out. So go to your, well, actually go here, go to your editor, your edit, and go to your project settings and click on maps and modes. And in the default mode, we want to switch it to meta gameplay BP, meta game mode BP. Then in our world, we want to set our meta game mode base BP, and then we press play. And now we can move around. All right. I'm gonna sprint too. So, okay. If you like what you saw, hit the like and subscribe button and join my Discord via the description below, and join my Unreal Engine community. Even if you're not from Memphis, you're more than welcome to join. I do meetups every 2 months, virtually and in person, and I would love to hear from you guys, so join my Discord, and I'll see you next time.